So now we have our next speaker, that is Josep Bernabeu-Auban from ITI. And now we change a bit the topic with data is everywhere, or is it? And Jose will talk a bit about these challenges for the realization of the value of the data. Welcome on board. Big applause for Jose.
Hello, good morning, everyone. So the title of my presentation is Data is Everywhere, okay? Or is it? So I'm making an assertion and challenging it at the same time, and I hope I make it clear through my presentation why this is so. I think nobody's questioning nowadays the importance of data driving innovation, driving progress. This has been true always. Okay, scientific advances are based just on data, on capturing data, forming hypotheses, validating the hypotheses, etc. Engineering cannot be understood without accessing volumes of data that inform engineers how to do things. So, what's different? What's different actually is the volume of data that we are able to access nowadays, and the ease with which this data is produced. Society is more and more dependent on digital, on IT technologies in order to actually function. And this process is actually increasing every time. This is more and more true. Data, we can say that data never sleeps, okay? So most processes in society, most processes among enterprises are mediated by IT technology. This IT technology, without doing it on purpose, it generates data. And that data carries value. And that data can be actually stored, and it can be analyzed potentially, and it can drive innovation, and it can improve everything potentially. So we are all familiar, I think, with charts similar to this one. What this chart shows mostly is how the amount of data that is produced, and maybe also stored, and maybe also analyzed, and maybe also used to innovate, how it progresses. And what we see is an exponential progression. And this exponential progression is not going to stop in 2025. I mean, because what I posit is that it is mostly driven by the ease to produce this data. And this ease is derived from the fact that digitization is being adopted all across society, all across enterprises. And this process is not going to stop anytime soon because we are far from actually adopting it fully. So this actually would say, would actually support my assertion, data is everywhere, okay? Because not only the volume of data is big, the volume of data being produced is big, but it is produced everywhere, really, okay? Even small enterprises are using some sort of IT technology, and that IT technology is producing data potentially useful for even those small enterprises. So we should be happy with such an amount of data, potentially valuable. Innovation should be happening left and right at all levels. However, the picture that we do have, with the data that we do have available, doesn't paint such a rosy prospect. If we look at a report, recent, from 2021 from Eurostat, by the way, there is no, to my knowledge, there is no new data about this from Eurostat yet. So we are using the results from 2021. If we look at this report, the question that was asked was, okay, so how many enterprises are using some form of AI technology? Okay? That's the question. One might actually question, why do we ask for AI technology and not for actually using data? I think AI technology, usage of AI technology is a good proxy for usage, analysis, and extraction of value of data, right? So anyways, let's go to the chart. What does this chart say? Let's look at the left extreme of the chart, where the question being asked and answered is, are you using at least one AI technology? Okay? And the results are the percentages by size of enterprise. Well, the first thing I want to call attention to is the actual percentage, the aggregate percentage, the average among all enterprises, just 8%. Well, I wouldn't say that a lot of enterprises, in average, are extracting a lot of value of the tons and tons of data available, right? We are far from actually doing a good job there. But it's even worse. I mean, if we compare that with using at least 3 AI technologies, which actually would imply that you're actually really invested in using data to innovate, then the results are still more dismal, just 2% average. And it's worse, it gets worse, because there is a large gap, actually, between large enterprises and small and even medium enterprises, sorry. And, well, the terrain gets more equal when we advance to using at least 3 or more technologies, for the worse, okay? Because everybody actually goes down quite a bit. Even large enterprises, the percentage of large enterprises actually apparently invested in exploiting data is not that large. So that is data from 2021. Admittedly, 2021 is very far in the past from 2023, okay? In the IT world, 2 years is really 2+ years. It's really a lot of time. So as I said, from your side, we don't have any more recent data, but we do have some information from the Spanish government relating to Spain only. And well, it's only for Spain, but it actually might serve us to see some trend. And the trend seems to be positive. It's significant. It's not brilliant, okay? Between 2021 and 2022, we see an increase from 8.3% average to 11%, 11.8% average. Well, that's good, but it's really and certainly not brilliant. And well, the point is, well, size still matters. I mean, there is a huge gap between large enterprises and the small enterprises, okay? And that's natural, and I hope we see why that is the case as we proceed through the presentation. So we can even zoom in and ask the question, all right, so let's say that the average is 8% exploitation of at least something related to data across all enterprises. But we should ask the question, are all sectors utilizing data in the same way or to the same extent? Well, again, information from Eurostat gives us some data to reason about it. The information is also the data, this data that I'm presenting here in this chart is also from 2021. And what we see here is that, unsurprisingly, the sector that seems to be extracting more value or utilizing data more intensely is the information and communication sector, which is to be expected. This sector actually is producing services, enabling services and technologies for the rest of the sector. So we should expect this. It would be worrisome if this was not the case. The next one in the chart is the professional, scientific, and technical service activities, okay? Which is also to be expected. I mean, scientists, engineers base their actions on data. So they are vested in exploiting data. However, we see a large distance between those two sectors and the rest of the productive sectors. Thank you. Okay, so we might question, really, that data is everywhere. Okay? Tons of data produced everywhere, but not everywhere is being exploited equally. That's one first thing that we should notice. So anyways, what we have seen tells us that, okay, we have tons of data, and even large enterprises do not seem to be exploiting that data reasonably intensely. Okay? So what's happening? What are the problems? What are the challenges? There must be a challenge, because if data has value, why aren't we extracting that value? Why aren't we investing in extracting that value to the fullest? So there are some reports, of course, that have come out recently, also in recent years, where questions are being asked. right? So one of the questions in a recent report asks professionals working in machine learning projects, AI projects, data analysis projects, what they thought were the biggest challenges in their field. Okay? And this chart actually summarizes the results of that poll. It looks that the biggest worry, the biggest challenge for these professionals is the quality of the data they have access to. Okay? That's one of the big worries they do have, the big challenge they need to overcome. And the next one, the next big worry is aspects, difficulties in data collection, and those difficulties are curious. On the one hand, the worry is there is too much data. On the other hand, there is a scarcity of data. So what does this mean? There are tons of data in some areas, too much to be handled properly, especially coupled with the issues with data quality. But on the other hand, there is missing data in other areas. Analysts deem important, essential, to actually come up with variable models which produce innovation. Okay. So that's one result of one of the studies. Also recently, the MIT conducted also a poll among companies asking them where it is they saw that we should be investing more in order to overcome some of the lackings, some of the things lacking in extracting more value out of data or in progressing in technologies related to AI. And these are the results they obtained. Okay? So we can see that one of the biggest worries is the lack of proper talent, of proper competence, people. We don't have enough human resources capable of actually carrying out the tasks of extracting value out of data. And then we have a set of other worries. One of them is it is not easy to access tools and infrastructure and technology to actually do something with that data. Okay? And furthermore, it is not easy to access the data for different reasons. Some of the reasons is data quality. Okay? What do we do with data which, well, it's badly formed, or it is incomplete, or it might be even wrong. It might have some wrong data inside it, some wrong pieces of data inside it. There is worry or there is the perception that formats are not very well standardized. So it's very difficult to capture two data sets within the same area and actually make sense of them if we need to figure out exactly what they are saying. I mean, in the previous talk, Freddy has been talking about the difficulties Gaia X is trying to solve related in part to this. So, anyways, we have problems with talent, we have problems with access to technology, to infrastructure, and we have problems with access to data. We can summarize this in this way, right? I mean, we have difficulties in access to public sources. There is actually, there was a recent report by the Spanish government talking about open data, right? And the availability of the data which is collected by administrations for their exploitation, essentially. So even though most public administrations have actually policies to externalize the data they actually handle, what the report says is that only about 10% of that data is actually used publicly. It's actually accessed and do something with it, right? If we extend the study to the OECD countries, the percentage rises quite a bit, rises to 50%, which seems very good, but well, it's 50%. I mean, where is the other 50%? But well, I mean, we have this data. Let's say that in the OECD countries it's 50%, but this data is still fraught with inconveniences, with difficulties related to quality, with formatting. Many times, each one of those administrations have their own set of standards in order to publish the formats of the information they put. Essentially, we have difficulties in accessing these public sources for various reasons. Formats, regulations, obscurity is, I don't know where the data actually is, right? I mean, I know you have the data, I don't know where to get to it. Okay, so we've already talked about the difficulties in accessing enabling technologies. Let's say that we didn't have any difficulties in accessing data, not just public sources. I mean, private sources also have lots of difficulties of doing something with the data they produce. I believe the European Union estimates that 80% of the data produced industrially, it just goes down the drain. I mean, nobody does anything with it. It's lost. So anyways, proceeding, we have difficulties in accessing enabling technology, especially small and medium enterprises. And finally, we've already talked about it, there is lack of expertise, right? So what can we do? What can anybody do in order to actually correct these shortcomings that actually lead us to what we can say it's an uneven playing ground. It's uneven for enterprises. Large enterprises, we can actually see how they can try to overcome these difficulties. Okay? They can invest so that they actually research where to find the public sources or even other private sources. They can invest in technology and human resources to drive that technology, and they can invest much better than a small and medium in actually correcting the lack of expertise. But the rest are just left out without too many lines of action in order to correct this problem. So what can we do? I mean, the previous two speakers, from their perspective, they are doing things in order to address some of the problems we talked about here. OPC is working heavily in standardization, right, of certain things that deal with format, exchange of data, etc., making it understandable across different organizations. Gaia-X is a large effort in which we at ITI are also aligned, and it tries to address many different problems. We've been told about it in the previous talk. So, I'm going to talk about what modestly we are doing at ITI in order to try to contribute to a solution to this problem. What is ITI? Let me present it a little bit before I proceed. ITI is a private technology center which specializes in IT technology, in research, development, and innovation. ITI focus is mainly small and medium enterprises. Okay? That's the main focus. So we believe we understand quite well what their problems are, especially what their problems are in relation to IT technologies and specifically in dealing with the data they generate, they could access, on how to exploit it. Okay? So we decided some time ago to try to contribute to a solution to this situation by addressing one of the perceived causes, which is easily access technology, tools, infrastructure. Okay? So we focus there. The diagnosis is there is a lack of adequate tools and technologies integrated so that it's easy to deploy, to operate, and to use. So, some time ago, we launched a project. We call it WiSphere. Okay? That's the name we gave it. And this project is, at its core, its goal is to produce mainly a technology stack which facilitates what I just mentioned, deployment, operation of this technology stack, and ease of access, so that we can actually do away primarily with the difficulty of accessing tools and technology, right? Which we detected as one of the obstacles. Our effort is not isolated. It's not just our effort that we went out and implemented something. We are aligned with whatever is happening, with what's happening in Gaia-X. We are following the developments. We are contributing to it. We've been in Gaia-X also from the start. Okay? So what is really WiSphere? WiSphere is first and foremost, as I said, a technology stack, but it's a tool, right, for experimentation and innovation with data. And we also want to use this tool to create a service. as an experimentation center in big data so that small and medium enterprises can actually experiment with analyzing this data, with extracting value, not just by themselves, because we just saw that one of the problems is lack of expertise, right? So what we hope to achieve is to incentivize cooperation between these small and medium enterprises in various fields, in various vertical fields, with enterprises in the IT field where expertise resides, primarily, at least as of today, right? So, as I said, WiseFair at its core, it's a technology stack, and that technology stack is built out of open source software, which is integrated by us, right? And it's also complemented with our own software to fill the gaps of functionality and also to accommodate how each one of those pieces of software can talk to each other. Now, there are lots and lots and lots of software out there which are directed to managing, to dealing with data. Unfortunately, each one of them most likely has been developed in isolation of many of the concerns that we have been illustrated in the previous talk and that GaiaX tries to address. So what we need to do is we need to integrate them, we need to select the tools, the best fitting tools that we consider that address each one of the concerns that we've been talked about earlier. We need to concern ourselves with how to solve the issues of governance, quality of the data, ingestion of the data, sharing of the data, that's very important. Processing of the data also, if we want to have a full, let's say, data space where enterprises can experiment, we need to worry about that also, about that infrastructure part. And we need to worry about security and access control in order to ensure issues about sovereignty and governance of the data. Okay, so we are using WiseFair to cooperate with others in many different projects at the national and European level. Those projects, many of them, are focusing on issues of data analysis and exploitation in different vertical application domains, okay? Agro, industrial, tourism, etc. What we are developing with WiseFair is a horizontal solution which can be applied to any of those areas. So this is our modest way to contribute to solve the problem and making sure that really data is everywhere in an effective way. I mean, everywhere can actually exploit that data, get value out of it, and innovate based on that data. Okay, so here we go. I think you know that ITI has set up a visit to its facilities this afternoon. During that visit, my colleagues have prepared a brief demo of the state of the development of WiseFair as we have it today. It's an ongoing project, we still haven't finished it. It's not certainly near production yet, but something can be seen on how it operates now and hopefully a better idea than what I am able to give nowadays can be obtained from that visit. Well, thanks a lot, and that's it.
Thank you. Director of ITI, thank you, Josep. So you bring the challenges, but also the solutions, and also thank you for linking very much your speech to the previous speakers. So